Jesus is like, we're going to call it meditation. So just sit here. Okay. Ready? Everyone's ready. And Jesus is like, okay, do nothing. And of course, everyone is sitting there on the side of the hill and they can't do nothing because they're like wiggling, scratching their nose, they're hungry, thinking about their taxes, and they're, they're saying that like maybe there's mosquitoes or something. And Jesus is like, okay. And everyone's like, can we eat now? And Jesus is like, no, no. Jesus is like, okay, I'm going to teach you how to breathe. And people are like, we know how to breathe. And Jesus is like, no, no, no. I mean, we're going to practice paying attention to your breathing. So see how you're wiggling? When you pay attention to your breathing, you realize 1, you're wiggling. 2, you're the one doing the wiggling. And 3, you can control the wiggle. You can choose not to experience wiggling. And everyone is like, who cares? And Jesus is like, you're stuck in this belief that you can't control your life. You can control your life, but you're sleeping. So you're stuck in this dream where you think you can't control anything that happens to you. And the moment you wake up, you realize that it's just a dream. It's all made up. You don't have to wiggle. You don't have to be eaten by mosquitoes. You don't have to. It's just a dream. You can choose to wake up. And people are like, how do we do that? And Jesus is like, pay attention to your breathing. So Jesus's followers try it out. And within 45 seconds, everybody's dreaming. Nobody's awake. So Jesus blows the shofar. People are like, I'm up. I'm up. Who died? Jesus is like, let me explain why you fell asleep. And people are like, I was sleeping. I wasn't sleeping. I was meditating. And Jesus is like, when you stay very, very still, it's kind of like when you're in love and you just stare into each other's eyes, or you just stare at your newborn child, or you stare at the sunrise or the moon. That's when God's energy, a deep sense of peace and holiness, can flow through you. And when God's energy flows through you, no two things can exist in the same space. God's energy pushes out any negativity or any junk inside of you. And God starts to purify your energy by merging his energy with your energy. And that's why you're falling asleep. And while Jesus is saying this, half of the people already fell asleep. So he has to blow the shofar again. And then Jesus is like, whenever you experience disappointment, like unhappiness, anger, frustration, okay, so what do you do? People were like, Reese's Pieces peanut butter cups. Someone else is like, M&Ms, Snickers bar, marijuana gummies. And Jesus is like, okay, exactly. And what do those things do? They make you fall asleep. They make you check out because you don't want to check in and stay awake through a bad experience. And sleeping or numbing yourself, it doesn't make a bad experience go away. It just gets buried inside of you. So you have these energies of boredom and envy and hurt. They're buried inside of you. And if you don't do anything about it, they harden and they turn into tumors and then stones. And it's like you have a bunch of stones inside of you. And that's why you feel heavy and tired, because you're weighted down with these stones. And when you meditate, God's energy starts flowing through your body. It starts clearing out the stones. That's why you're wiggling. You're like, whoa. God's pushing out boredom from your body. That's why you're scratching your nose, because God's squeezing out jealousy from your face. And that's why you're like paranoid about the mosquitoes, because God's shooing away the bad people from your life. So you got to sit still and let God push out the stones from your body. And you're like, oh, boy. If you could just sit there and do nothing and let God do everything, girl, you in the money. That's why Jesus teaches meditation. Just to go somewhere lonely where no one can bother you and just do nothing. So here's the practice. 5 minutes a day. I want you to set the timer on your iPhone. You're going to pay attention to your breath. And the easiest way to do that is just like how pregnant women breathe when they're giving birth. They're like, it's a big giant thing, something is coming out of them. So you want to inhale for like 6 full seconds. Hold it for 6 seconds. Exhale for 6 seconds. And then you do it again and again and again for 5 minutes. 5 minutes a day. You breathe. God has 5 minutes where you're not wiggling, you're not moving around, where you're still enough that he can push stones out of your body. And when God does that, you're going to feel so much lighter and younger and buoyant. You'll have these spontaneous moments of joy and peace. And that's really how you're supposed to feel all the time when you don't have stones in you. And then your light shines. You know why? Because there's no stones blocking your light.